Hello, anyone out there? If you're watching this video, that means you have a Cadillac CTS, Cadillac ATS, Cadillac SRX, XT5, XT4, pretty much any modern GM vehicle from 2014 to 2019. This tutorial was filmed on, oh my god, what's the date? It's 2019, and it is July. So July of 2019, this was filmed. So anyway, anything from a 2014 to a 2019 modern GM vehicle with the 3.6 liter V6 engine. If you're watching this video, that means you are having either an error code, error p0011 or p0014, or any other random ones that go with those codes. When I got my first p0011 code, it spat out some gibberish code that wasn't even registered, so I assume that they were related. But anyway, if you're getting those codes, or if your engine is running rough at idle, if it's stalling at idle, if it's stalling when you slow down, if the acceleration is lacking, if it's acting like you're putting in bad gas but the gas is fine, you are all having the same problem. The problem is these guys over here. Your engine has 4 of them. These are called the variable valve timing solenoids, and they click into the front of your engine, and what they do is they help your engine through varying the oil pressure. This is actually a solenoid valve that adjusts the oil pressure by allowing it to flow through 1, 2, or all 3 of these little mesh screens here. It helps to adjust your engine timing. And this is here. It allows your engine to vary its timing based on its load, based on its speed, in the pursuit of higher fuel economy and better performance. When they go bad, and they do go bad, my Cadillac CTS here, it's a 2014, it only has 80,000 miles. I was getting the p0011 code. And my engine was nice enough to tell me that it was bank A on the exhaust side, so that's the passenger side solenoid on the exhaust camshaft. I was getting the p0011 code, which, you know, is not good. Now, this car is actually, you know, I got it only about a month or 2 ago, and I got a screaming deal for it, which I'm very happy about. But anyway, when I got my first engine code, when I got that p0011 code, I was very nervous, because I was like, oh my god. That error code, if you actually look it up, it says that the camshaft timing is too far advanced. So you think to yourself, oh my god, camshaft, very expensive. My engine has 4. Changing them or servicing them at all is impossible. Thousands of dollars. Maybe it's the timing change is bad. Oh no, that's terrible. Maybe I got to do a whole service on this engine. No, 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 no. That is not what you need to do. This is if you get those codes, it's actually very cheap and easy to fix the problem. All you have to do is buy new ones of these and put them in the engine. It's literally about an hour of your time. Not very hard at all. You really only need a 10-millimeter socket wrench and a swivel. This is a swivel. It allows the socket to turn at different angles. That's just because it's kind of tough to get in there, and I'll show you where these all are in a second. But anyway, with very simple basic tools, you can change these out yourself, save yourself hundreds of dollars from going to the dealership or the mechanic. And also, buy these online. Don't buy them at AutoZone or Advanced Auto Parts. They'll sell you these for like $60 a piece, which is highway robbery. I got my new ones. They're already on the engine. I got my new ones from rockauto.com. They literally match it exactly to OEM specifications. I believe the company who made mine, they're called Dorman. They are a very inexpensive supplier of car parts. If you are worried that these are cheap Chinese parts that aren't going to last very long, and maybe the more expensive versions of these is better for you, don't, because it's all cheap. It's all cheap. I mean, these are the ones that came with the car. These are the bad ones that I pulled out. GM buys the cheapest Chinese-made crap that they can to cut down on costs. And once it goes bad after 80,000 miles, where you're already outside of your vehicle warranty, so, you know, screw you. But, you know, it costs them very little. And also, all the ones that you can buy in Advanced Auto Parts and AutoZone, there's only like 2 or 3 companies that really make these, and it's all the same rebranded stuff. So Dorman gets it direct from the factory. They are a distributor, and then they sell it to you very cheaply through rockauto.com. So buy them from rockauto.com, very cheap. I got all 4 of these for $100. I also bought the seals, which I did not need, which is great because the seals, the seals go around the outside of these solenoids, and then they click into the engines themselves. Anyway, if you remove them wrong, you can actually push them back and they'll fall into your engine. And then you're completely screwed because there's no way you'll ever get them out. And then you got to take the engine apart to get the seal out, and then you're hosed. So anyway, I didn't need to change mine. Mine were in perfect shape. Car's only got the car only has 80,000 miles. The seals are perfect. I don't need to change them, so I'm not going to take that risk. So I just put in the solenoids. So anyway, buy them from Rock Auto. Buy the seals anyway, just to be safe. I'm not using my seals. But I'm going to keep them in case mine go bad in the future. I get an oil leak from one of them. I could easily pop off the solenoid, put in the seal, and then it'll be fine. And I expect these solenoids that I just put in to go for another 80,000 miles at least. The company is good. I've gotten parts from them in the past from my other vehicles. So buy them from Rock Auto. Get the Dorman ones for 26 bucks a pop. All four of these were only like 100 and something bucks. It was $11 to get them here next day air. So that was great. Anyway, now I'm fixing them on the car. So let me show you where they are on the car. You know what? I'll use this as a reference. So we'll use this as a reference. So see how this is like, it has a wide cylindrical body. This is the actual solenoid part here, and the little valve that it goes through is in the little mesh part. But anyway, large cylindrical body, plug on the top, bolt off to the side. So on the engine, we use the driver's side as an example. This is one right here. You see we have the plug on the top, the bolt off to the side. If I can angle the camera better, you'll see in here it's cylindrical body in there, over here. Kind of hard to see, but it's there. Underneath it is its twin. Same thing. We have the plug on the top, and the bolt is actually down here. Don't worry about if the bolt is in a different place or if it's turned differently than its buddy. It's all the same part because it's basically a cylinder. They can turn them however they want to bolt them in more conveniently. This one's bolt just happens to be down here. But anyway, plug on the top. There is the cylindrical body. And I don't know if you can see the seal, but it plugs into that big seal. So anyway, to pop them off, all you got to do is you take your wrench with the 10mm socket on it. You plug it onto these bolts, and you take the bolt out. You could take it out all the way with the socket wrench if you want, but honestly, once you break its hold, you can unscrew it with your hand, and it's super easy. Once you get it off, take the plug off, or take the plug off first. Doesn't matter. Pop this little plug off. There's a tab down here. You hold it down, and then you pull it off. It comes off super easy. And then you'll just be left with this little guy sticking out of the engine. Now, you're going to want to try and pull it straight back first. You know, like you're going to want to try and pull it straight back out of the engine. It's going to resist you because the seal is actually going to have a really good grab on it. But easy to overcome that. Just grab it by its little plug and just turn it ever so slightly. It'll instantly break its contact with the seal, and then you can just very easily pull it out of the engine. And then, once it's out of the engine, you get your new one, you push it right back in to the same hole. It will resist you because that seal is there. The seal is going to obviously provide resistance. That's a good thing. Just push it through it. It'll click right in. Then this little bracket here is going to line up right with its mount. Or if it doesn't, twist it so it lines up, and then put the bolt back through it. I believe that mine came with new bolts, so I just got it out of the package. But if yours don't use the same bolts, it's fine. And tighten back down the bolt with your hand, and then grab your socket wrench and tighten it with your wrench. There really is no torque specification for this at all. I think it's, you know, snug is fine, or 10 foot-pounds, 15 foot-pounds. Don't go crazy and over torque it. That's not necessary. Just make it tight, make it snug until, you know, you really can't turn it anymore with a moderate amount of force, and then it's done. So once you get one of them, then do the other one. Well, there's a gnat flying around me. I don't want to get bit by a mosquito. Damn muggy summer days. All right, so once you get one, very easy to do the other one. These two on this side are actually really easy to pull out because there's nothing really in their way at all. If you're worried about hitting this guy, this goes to your radiator from the top of the engine. This is actually a coolant line. So this comes out of the engine block, and then this is the hookup for your radiator. Then it goes into your radiator. If you're worried about hitting this, don't. Once you pull this guy out or pull this guy out, there's more than enough clearance to wiggle him out sideways past it. Not even something that you have to worry about. This side, though, the passenger side, is a little tougher. You'll see there's one right here. You see the plug on the top, bracket on the side, and its buddy is right underneath it. The plugs on the side going this way, and the brackets on the top here. This one's kind of hard to pull out because you have this return line here. I think it's for the evap system, but don't quote me on it. It plugs in. This guy has a clip. I'm trying and focus. It plugs into this little metal tab right here. It plugs right in. And there's two problems with that. One, with this hose in the way, it blocks this solenoid from coming out. And two, this little metal tab will also oppose you because the solenoid's too wide and it'll hit it even if you do twist the bracket out of the way. So, but it's okay. Getting past this is very easy. So obviously this little metal tab down here with this little bracket right here, just wiggle it out very, 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 very carefully. Once it comes out, you'll see that you have a little bit of play in the line to move it around and get it out of the way. Do not, for the love of God, do not break this. These guys are actually really easy to break. I had a 2008 with these same lines. I broke them both, and it's a very expensive, well, not expensive, it's just time-consuming, because then you got to take the back cover off the engine, you got to see where it goes, and you got to go to AutoZone and get flexible line to replace it. And you can't drive the car when you're doing that, so don't break these. Don't do that. It's bad. Be very, very careful, infinitely careful when you're moving this about. But anyway, once you get this off, you'll see there's a big bracket here. It's holding on. It looks like a little canister filter or some other kind of metal canister. I'm not actually sure what this guy does. But anyway, this guy is held on by this big bracket here. It's held on by that big bolt there and that big bolt there. This guy is actually huge. You're going to have to remove this. It's 18 millimeters. That's why my large socket's on, because I was just finishing up putting it back on. It's long. I'll put it up on the screen right now to show you how long. I was holding it in my hands when I took a picture of it. And anyway, getting this out is important, because once you get this out all the way and you loosen this guy, then this whole little bracket canister platform becomes very flexible. And then it's very easy for you to just kind of move it out of the way. Do not take this bolt all the way off. Take this one all the way off. Don't take this one all the way off, because then this whole thing will fall and you'll put a lot of stress on these very, very delicate lines. Just take this one off, and then this one will just gently, like, kind of fall and turn out of your way. Just push it down very gently, and then it's very easy to just pull these guys out and plug them back in, and then the engine is fine. And then once you do that, you're done. And then put everything back together, and the car is fixed. You won't get those codes no more. Obviously, if you're on a budget and you can't afford all these at the same time, you know, just follow your code reader and only replace the one that's giving you a fault. But honestly, if one of them is giving you a fault, they're all going to give you a fault in the very near future. So I just did all 4 of mine at once, just to play it safe. And now I'm done. Problem is solved. Everything's great. My car wasn't running rough, but I was getting that error code. It was a p0011. And now I fixed it, and everything is done. So also, if you notice that if there's a lot more room in here, I did unscrew my decorative engine cover and the ducting for the throttle body out of the air filter. It's very easy to just pull these out and put them back in. This guy is just on with 2 hose clamps, just a flathead, and we'll take them right out. And this guy comes out by you unscrew the oil cap and put it back on once this is off. But anyway, you unscrew the oil cap out of there, and then in here it's a small Torx wrench, and then it's just one little screw that comes out with this little Torx wrench guy here. Unless you're one of the lucky guys that already has a regular bolt. I didn't. Mine had a torque wrench, but I have a torque wrench, so I pulled it out. Then that whole thing just comes out super simple. And then you have all this room to work, and it's very easy to just see what's going on and pull the stuff out. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. I am by no means a mechanic. I'm just a guy who knows what he's doing. This is the second version of the Cadillac CTS that I've owned. I used to have a 2008. Had the same engine, the GM 3.6. This is the updated version of that same engine. And oh my God, I love the 3.6 engines. If you got one, good job. You hit the lottery. All the 2.0 turbos, they're going to blow up after 120,000 miles. That turbo is going to blow up. Turbos do not last long. And it's going to destroy the engine, or at the very least be a very, very expensive service. This naturally aspirated non-turbo 3.6 engine, it's going to last you forever. My 08 had 198,000 miles, and it still ran like a Swiss watch. I'd still drive it if some guy didn't run a stop sign and take me out. But anyway, this is a fantastic platform. It's a fantastic engine. Honestly, if you just keep up with the maintenance and fix the sensors and the solenoids when they blow out or fail, it's not very hard, very inexpensive to do it. This guy will run like a Swiss watch for, oh my God, I know people that have these engines up at like 350,000 miles right now. So you're in good shape. So, yep, so like this video if it was helpful. Comment in the comments below if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. And thank you very much for watching. Hope it was helpful.